period of Poland which really interested me a lot. Two, actually. And as a tourist, I'm sure there is way more, but two eras of Poland also interested me. The World War II, the whole Jewish history, and the communist era. I'd love you to tell me a little bit. I know we have a very short time, but just an introduction, how these periods affected Poland, impacted the nation. What are the highlights of those two periods? We can start with whatever you want.
So basically, the World War II history, the history of my grandparents. The communist period is the history of my parents, basically. I was actually born in communist era, but I was 4 years old when the communist finished. So basically, I wasn't very aware of the situation happening. Actually, but so when the Second World War is this moment of history that everybody have heard about, a lot of people are extremely fascinated about it. Actually, I met some people who are totally not related to the family story to the Second World War, but they are very much into. They are going to see every different death camps, concentration camps in the world. There's even sociological term for that. It's called dark tourism. Actually,
Oh,
is a phenomenon which is actually very well researched about as well. The excitement of people about those kind of stories, actually.
dark tourism, never heard of that. Makes sense, yeah.
The fact is that Poland was very multicultural and have very, very big Jewish community. That's very true, actually. Well, there are some medieval roots, medieval history of that. Basically, a lot of Jewish people find a refuge over here a few centuries.
When did this start? Sorry to interrupt you.
Medieval ages, actually. I mean, even one of the oldest coin in Poland, which we find out, uh, on one side there is an eagle, which looks like a rooster, but let's say it's eagle.
Uh-huh.
So Polish coat of arm. On the other side, that's supposed to be, I mean, that's written Kingdom of Poland, but it's written in Hebrew letters.
Wow, in medieval times.
In early medieval ages. So actually, that's very big problem for the very ultra right wing people. That's how possibly the name of the country for the first time was written in Hebrew. But okay, well, what can I say? Simply, the coin makers were Jewish, most likely. They probably they bring the know-how of coin making, and their king hired them because they know how to do it.
Yeah.
They were, I know, the IT specialists of those days, right? They have the know-how, and that's it. Coin making wasn't a thing before 10th century over here in that area. So another medieval ages, with the especially with the pandemic of Black Death, a lot of people. Well, Poland wasn't very well connected country at that time, so somehow Black Death never really have an impact here. Never actually burst out here.
Uh-huh.
And those people, Jewish people, were accused for spreading the disease in Western Europe. Often they escaped over here. They escaped to Poland. So that's the way how eventually the name of the country will be called in by the Jewish people Polin, which means also place to shelter, place to find a refuge, actually, place to stay and relax.
How much percentage of Jewish community of the world was actually here?
Museum of Polin, Museum of the History of Polish Jews in Warsaw, they say that at the highest point, even 70%, 70% of worldwide Jewish population. They didn't share the number, but they said the percentage was at some point even 70%. Actually, that's really a lot. Things have started to change with those wars. Wars against Sweden, Russia, Poland, pretty much all by the end of 18th century, and then there was a big poverty in Central Europe. So then a lot of those Polish Jews, like also Polish Christians, emigrated to the States.
Okay.
But that's actually later on. Actually, when you talk about the time when Poland was a well-doing, peaceful country, and was one of the largest countries in Europe, there was a big, thriving Jewish community over here. The rabbi from here, from Kazimierz, Rabbi Moses Iserlos, we called him Remu. The Israelis call him Rama. I have no idea why. A typical Israeli person doesn't know really much about Polish history, but all of them learn about this guy, learn about this rabbi from Kazimierz at schools.
Really?
That's how influential he was. He was one of those influential rabbi among all Ashkenazi Jewish community in general. And Ashkenazi Jews are those who founded Israel. People from all around Europe were sending letters to him here to Kazimierz to actually ask for advice, ask to interpret Torah. This is actually how influential he was. So this is actually showing us how influential the Jewish community of Krakow actually was through centuries among the Jewish people as well. So that happened to Poland, and that was the reason why actually the Jewish population was the largest one in Europe before the war, even 3 million. So therefore, the Auschwitz was established by the German Nazi over here.
That's why they chose this location.
Yeah, but you have to be clear about it. Think about it rationally. If Hitler's true idea was to get rid of the Jews from Germany, invading Poland was the most stupid thing he could ever do.
Wow.
In one city in Poland, Łódź or Warsaw, were more Jewish people than in entire Germany before the war. So basically, those Jewish people, all this fear was only to use them, use anyone as a scapegoat, actually, right? To blame somebody, etc. That was the thing, actually. The Nazis, if you really have a closer look, it's not rational. It doesn't fit to those actually ideas are contradictory totally, to be honest.
Oh, wow. And now during your tours, and now we're in this. It's 2025. So yeah, well, we're heading there. We're filming this in December, so like we're a few days away from 2025. But nowadays, do you still find tourists or people, even locals from here, interested to know more about that history, what happened in the times of your grandfather and grandmother?
Well, that's the main interest, main part of Polish history, which is interesting for the foreigners. Because, well, what can I say? Auschwitz is the Eiffel Tower of Poland. You know, that's this one place that everybody have heard about. Actually, whatever you think about it, that's actually if it's good or bad. But actually, this is the truth.
I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's definitely a strong statement.
You know, I really received some requests to guide tours actually, and some of them, those people don't really know that there's something to see in Krakow. Even they just want to go to Auschwitz. That's it. They think that Krakow is a small town next to important Auschwitz. So we see actually we have the city which is 1,000 years old, which used to be capital, largest country in Europe, etc. But this is actually totally unknown. And then we have this German Nazi concentration camp, which is obviously important. Which well, okay, I'll have to tell you something.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with visiting the death camp, concentration camp. It's important. We should remember this history. But please remember that Auschwitz is actually mass tourism. And there's nothing wrong with tourism, but actually mass tourism is extremely, extremely harmful. What I'm talking about, what I mean is like, it's not the only death camp in Poland. And most of the Polish Jews didn't die there. They didn't die in Auschwitz. They died in Treblinka, Majdanek, Chełmno, Bełżec. And those other camps are also museums over there. And they're struggling to survive because almost nobody go there. So we talk about Auschwitz is so monopolized, so overcrowded, actually, with so actually ridiculously expensive services, actually, because this is monopoly, right? We talk about those places that even 500,000 Jewish people disappear, and nobody give any attention, actually, right? To do actually sustainable tourism, it's to do it responsibly. So if I will go to Poland and really would like to visit some death camp, I rather try to find out those which are very important, much more important for Polish history, because the Polish Jews, like Krakawian Jews, were moved to Bełżec. They were actually exterminated in Bełżec, 300 kilometers from here to the east. Today, Polish-Ukrainian border. So if you are into history of Krakawian Jews, etc., you should go to Bełżec, not to Auschwitz. Actually, you should not support the mass tourism. Exactly.
Why do you think it's in particular became like this, became the Eiffel Tower of Krakow or Poland?